Hey everyone, how's it going? So last time what we did is we set up this button handler so that when you click the button right here, it will make a call, make an AJAX request to this URL. Now of course we haven't created that page yet, which is why currently you see a 404 error, but what this will do eventually is it will send this data that we created, which essentially just contains the content, so the value that was entered into the text box. It will send it to this endpoint, and at this endpoint we're going to handle the creating of the post. So all the client, that is all the website front end side of it will see is it will send this request and then it will just get back a newly created post. It means our front end won't need to care at all about creating the post. The back end, the server, will take care of all of it for us. Now that's one of the benefits of creating it in this sort of style. So what we're actually going to do for creating posts and getting posts and actually everything on our site is create a REST API. Now we'll use the REST API to handle all of the interaction between the database and our server. It will do all the crazy things like creating posts, creating messages, retrieving posts and stuff like that. And basically by doing it that way, the front end only needs to just send a request to that endpoint and it will just get back all of the data it needs as if by magic. So one thing real quick is I meant to name this posts with an S, so it's plural. So just change this from API/post to API/posts like this. That's just one thing I forgot to do last time. But you're in luck. I made a super amazing PowerPoint presentation, which will, of course, make you experts in REST APIs. So feast your eyes on this. We have a REST API here. This is our REST API. It's going to contain code for us to create and retrieve users and posts and notifications. So for example, if you're messaging somebody and you want to send them a message, you'll submit a post request to our REST API. It will create their new message for them and then it will give it back to us and we can do something with it. The same with notifications. We can use this to access the notifications. So when we create the notifications page, the first thing we'll do is make a request to our REST API to get the notifications. The REST API itself will do all the crazy logic, which will give us the notifications for that user, and it will just hand them back to us, and we won't have to care about anything that it did to get there. Okay, so I've got an example scenario for you. We've got a bunch of clients. Now the clients are just, like I said, the front end. So for example, you sitting there on your laptop is a client. You could also be there on your phone, that's a client too. And the same with any other device really. Apple Watches, you could create a client out of a Google Chrome extension. You can really do anything. Samsung smart fridges, whatever you want to create apps for, we'll be able to use this. So by doing it this way, it means that once we've got it working and we've done it for our website, if you went to then go and create an iPhone app for this, all you'd need to do is submit a request to this API to get the posts or create the posts, and the actual code on the phone wouldn't need to care about anything we did before creating the post. It would just, all it has to do is call this API, and then all the code we're about to write will have already taken care of it. So you essentially need to only write the logic for creating posts and getting posts only one time, just on the REST API. Once you've done it here, that's it. Any other device can just call it and use that stuff and take advantage of it. So an example scenario is if you want to create a post client, that is essentially what we're doing now. So our website will submit a post request to API/posts, and that is exactly the scenario we're doing now. Okay, so all we're going to do, submit a post request to this API endpoint. Our REST API will then run the code which will create this post, and then of course it will just give back to us that newly created post. So you can see how the client doesn't need to be concerned about how the post was created. It knows that if it submits this post there, gives it the data it needs, it will get back a newly created post, and it can then just output that to the user. Another example would be getting a list of posts. So a client, this time I've used an example of a phone, but it could be any client, like I said. Let's say you implement a newsfeed sort of thing. The client, all it needs to do is submit a GET request, which we will do eventually. You'll see how this works. But it's just going to submit a GET request to that same API/posts endpoint. And the REST API that we're creating will handle that and go to the database, get all the posts for that user, for example, and all the ones it should be showing anyway. And then it will do what it needs to do, and then it will just give us back a list of posts. And then the client can just output that on the newsfeed. So it's a really good way of doing it. We're just separating all the logic. Now, of course, we could have created a REST API method when we did the sign-up process to create a user, but I didn't want to freak you out with the whole REST API stuff at that early stage in the course, so we just created the user directly. But that doesn't matter too much. I mean, there's only one scenario where you'd be creating a user, so it's not too much of a big deal. But everything from here on out to do with users, notifications, messages, posts. When you like a post, for example, add that like. When you retweet something, we're going to do it using a REST API. And like I said, the benefit is any client we add after this can just reuse this code without us having to write it again.